She says she needs Congress. No. Then she says, we're looking at fixing it. Hold on, your numbers were quadrupled because of the 64 policies aimed at undercutting Trump's border policy. The flip-flopping. And that's the theme of today's show. Kamala Harris, and then we'll get to Howard Stern in a little bit. It's flip-flop time. Yeah, nice.
There you go.
Right. Cool.
By the way, we're banning flip-flops at the office, okay?
Again?
What?
Yep.
Come on, man.
You know somebody's going to have a problem.
Yes, I do.
What? My bunions. They need to breathe.
One person in particular now
That's
is
why.
leaving.
You can't get your pedicures here at the office on the lunch table screaming, you're going to need a knife when you get to the corns.
Oh, it's once a week.
So... So a month ago, I told you that I believe Kamala Harris is in her own personal hell. I said, I think the bump that she received after the convention, that's about as good as she was going to get, that initial phase. The reason why is because if she has bad internal polling, she has to do something. Yeah. That's bad news because Kamala Harris always performs more poorly if she does anything. And I know what you're thinking. She should do some things. Incorrect. The answer is she needs to do nothing. Her best chance at riding this out is pulling the Biden strategy, speaking with nobody, because the more she speaks, the more she loses support. Here's the clip of us discussing that a while ago. Is now the nominee has not given a major interview or press conference, and then the very first interview that takes place, they move on very quickly. That should have been wall-to-wall coverage. It tells you that there's something there that they know doesn't play very well. And now the polls are reflecting it. So that's got to be scary. It's got to be scary for Kamala Harris. To all the defeatist conservatives, right now she's living in her own personal hell going, wait, the only way to write this is to get out there more, but every time I speak, people hate me. I hate me watching myself.
Well, I wouldn't do that. Self-loathing.
So 60 Minutes, Bill Whitaker, who I'm now a fan of. I don't know his politics. I would imagine an old school Democrat. Also has a Sugar Ray Robinson look with the mustache and that kind of, that kind of hair, the doo-wop hair. He interviewed Kamala Harris, and what you are about to witness can only be described as black-on-black crime. Let's first start off with Kamala's flip-flops.
They say that the reason so many voters don't know you is that you have changed your position on so many things. You were against fracking, now you're for it. You supported looser immigration policies, now you're tightening them up. You were for Medicare
Her
for
face
all.
going, oh
now
no.
You're not. So many that people don't truly know what you believe or what you stand for. And I know you've heard that.
In the last 4 years, I have been Vice President of the United States. Oh. And I have been traveling our country.
Okay.
And I have been listening to folks and seeking what is possible in terms of common ground. I believe in building consensus. We are a diverse people, geographically, regionally, in terms of where we are in our backgrounds. And what the American people do want is that we have leaders who can build consensus. Where we can figure out compromise and understand it's not a bad thing, as long as you don't compromise your values, to find common sense solutions. And that has been my approach.
All right. So,
what?
As long as you don't compromise your values, common sense solutions. Can I ask you then, how is it not compromising your values? And how was banning fracking common sense then and opening up more fracking common sense now? What changed in the common sense? Typically speaking, common sense doesn't really change. It's unchanging, right? It's actually an overall filter that you apply to individual issues. You say, okay, I'm going to apply two things. You look at an issue, you go, okay, I'm going to apply data, facts, the latest research to see if new research illuminates this subject more, and common sense. You apply those two and see where they match up. Common sense is unchanging because it's supposed to be common, right? It's the common denominator. It's almost in the word. So I don't know what she's saying, but I know it's stupid. Here is her answer now, and you can see the host get progressively intolerant.
Yeah.
Well, after that answer, yes. He has specific questions.
Yeah. You can see on his face there are a couple of moments where he's just like, this bitch. So
you see his posture. His posture is saying that.
Yeah.
He's like...
At one point, he doesn't even look up from his notes. He just goes, what about China? Or something like that. And she's just like, So all the references are available at loudhouseCrowder.com. Link in the description. We will be getting to the live stream in just a few moments. But here is him asking her about the border, and she doesn't answer the question. At the end of this clip, I'll give you the cheat sheet.
I've been covering the border for years. And so I know this is not a problem that started with your administration.
Correct.
But there was an historic flood of undocumented immigrants coming across the border the first 3 years of your administration. As a matter of fact, arrivals quadrupled from the last year of President Trump. Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem. And solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem.
Your problem.
Okay?
But the numbers did quadruple.
Numbers today, because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half. We have cut the flow of fentanyl by half, but we need Congress to be able to act to actually fix the problem.
Okay, first off, no, you don't. Second, if you quadruple it and then cut it in half, that's still double. That's not good. That's double the problem. It's double. You're going to bring the Doublemint twins in to describe it for us? Also, let me be really clear. It did quadruple. We've given you those numbers. A little bit more than quadruple, actually. I'll tell you exactly why. There were 64 border policies aimed at deliberately undercutting Trump. That's why there is a direct contrast with Donald Trump. She says she needs Congress. No. Then she says, we're looking at fixing it. Hold on, your numbers were quadrupled because of the 64 policies aimed at undercutting Trump's border policy, which again, cut it to a number that was less than quadruple. References available, link in the description. And then when she says we're aiming at solving the problem now, the bill that she is speaking of, the one that cut it in half, it was an executive action. So she didn't need the House either. Nothing that she has just said is even close to the vicinity of correct. And Sugar Ray knows it.
He did. And he tried to press her, like, why didn't you do it then? And she's saying we need Congress because they want to lay this at the feet of the Republicans, saying that the Republicans didn't vote for it because Donald Trump wanted an issue to run on, and that is absolutely categorically false. They could have done an executive order, just like Trump did, to make sure the border was more secure until Congress acted.
Yes. By the way, shut up. Subscribe to SiriusXM. All the Howard you can eat.
Yes, call them once, and they'll call you for the rest of your life.
Yes,
every 3 days.
I particularly prefer satellite radio when I have access to the internet in 2024.
It's got a button in my car.
It's like the intermediate step between terrestrial radio and the internet that never needed to take place. Because the internet already existed.
Are they paying you for this plug?
They're not.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good plug. I mean, think about it. You were like, oh man, I don't want to listen to satellite. I don't want to listen to terrestrial radio anymore. There's so many ads. Where can I go? It's almost like, I don't know, if there's some kind of a free service out there where I can listen to more content than I could possibly consume in a lifetime. Is there a pay service that resembles the old crappy terrestrial radio and still has ads? And isn't available ubiquitously like the internet? A satellite radio. Say no more.
The hands-free CarPlay is too hard for me.
Yes.
So I got to have it on the dial. I got to go through 5 sources before I get to it. Hey, did you notice that you know what she looks like in that interview? She looks like, have you ever seen this? Have you seen these videos online of like guys catching their wife cheating?
Yes.
She's like, Justin, no, listen, Justin, no, don't hurt him.
Yeah.
It's not his fault.
Well, he pins her down on spending, and we had to separate this into 2 parts because it's just so much fun. And you can see him, like I said, getting progressively intolerant. And if you listen, that's the sound of the betting odds changing again. Here is Kamala Harris on how she is going to pay for all of this stuff.
You want to expand the child tax credit.
Yes, I do.
You want to give tax breaks to first-time home buyers.
Yes.
And people starting small businesses.
Correct.
But it is estimated by the nonpartisan...
She is so dumb. She actually thinks, she's like, yes, correct. That's right. She actually thinks she's about to get a layup. That's a horrible lawyer. He's laying a trap. She's like the woman in every horror film who goes in and behaves in a way that you say is far too dumb. How did she not see this coming? Like, guys, you turned off the lights? Turn them on. You'll be sorry. I'm coming in. Stop playing games.
Yeah, and Bill Whitaker's the black guy in the audience going, bitch, don't open the door.
Yes,
Keep
exactly.
the lights off.
Run out of the house, not up the stairs.
And at one point when he's interviewing her, he actually under his breath went, "Kill, kill, kill, kill."
She chose the form of Gozer the Destroyer, and she thought Black 60 Minutes anchor.
Yes, she really thought so. She's like, yes, correct. Okay, just rewind it a few seconds if you can, Toolman.
Yeah.
And just see how she really is.
She thinks the next question is, how hard is it to be perfect?
Oh,
But then he hits her with, I guess you could say a bait and switch, but it used to be called journalism.
Tax credit.
Yes, I do.
You want to give tax breaks to first-time home buyers.
Yes.
And people starting small businesses.
Correct.
But it is estimated by the Nonpartisan Committee for Responsible Federal Budget
Come.
that your economic plan would add $3 trillion to the federal deficit over the next decade. How are you going to pay for that?
Okay, so the other economists that have reviewed
Not the
my
ones you
plan
cited.
versus my opponent and determined that my economic plan would strengthen America's economy, his would weaken it.
Watch.
But-
My plan, Bill, if you don't mind, my plan
She had to get it in. She had to get it in
is
the debate.
about
She has to.
saying
Let me finish.
that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
Talking points that we have seen before. Don't worry, though. Bill follows up here.
You want to expand the child tax
No, it's the next one.
Yes,
the
I
next
do.
clip.
You want to
Oh,
give
sorry.
tax breaks to.
Hold on,
Pardon me,
I'll-
Madam Vice-
Here's his follow-up.
All right, there we go.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President. The question was, how are you going to pay for it?
One of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us
Okay,
who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations.
Untrue.
And I plan on making that fair.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
The real world includes,
How are you going to get this through Congress?
you know, when you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about because their constituents
You must be-
know
it's-
exactly
it's
what I'm
volume
talking
reliant.
about. Their
It's
constituents
loud, they will do it.
are those firefighters and teachers and nurses. Their constituents are middle-class, hardworking folk.
And Congress has shown no inclination to move in your direction.
I disagree with you.
Well, agree to disagree.
It's just. It's, by the way, we do have
guess so.
exclusive at this point. Kamala's handlers were off camera advising her. I appreciate their passion.
Throw it in. What's the matter with you?
Miss Harris. He's kind of like a black Jason Bateman. He's like, yeah, Miss Harris, we deal in the real world. Okay. So
Yeah.
She should have seen by his demeanor, like, this is not going to go well. When he started that question out, like, his tone of voice was leading you to, like, hey, I'm about to hit you with reality.
Yeah.
By the way, when Kamala Harris answers these questions and says, you know, the teachers and firefighters and people like that shouldn't be paying a higher tax rate, that's absolutely categorically false.
Of course it is.
Right?
Yeah.
Average American paid about 15% in income tax. Average corporation paid about 21%. That they're not even giving you a real bad answer. They're just lying.
well, yes, you're correct. We've already debunked that, but
right.
today I just want to laugh a little bit.
Okay,
And
fine,
so
fine.
if you
I'm
want to
just
laugh, you have to laugh
angry.
through your fingers in the next one,
A little bit.
where Kamala answers about her gun ownership.
Oh.
You recently surprised people when you said that you are a gun owner. And then if someone came into your
That was
house,
not the first time I've
They would get
talked
shot.
about it. That's not the
When did
first
your
time I've
ascot
talked
discuss
about
it?
so what kind of gun
Been
do you
banging
own
for
and
years,
when
dog.
and why did you get it?
I have a Glock.
Oh.
And I've had it for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, look, Bill, my background is in law enforcement. And,
No, it's not.
So there you go. Yes. Of course I have. At a shooting range.
That means no.
Yes, of course I have.
I was in law enforcement, so there you go. Yeah, let's ask local law enforcement how they feel about district prosecutors. Also, she named. I don't believe her. I'm sorry, I don't believe her because of the way she answered. I had a drunken carpenter work for our family one time. We managed properties when we were young. Basically, we were supers, inherited from it. And this guy was brilliant when he was sober. but he was unfortunately very rarely sober. I remember one time everything was just all wonky, cockeyed, and cattywampus, and he was barely able to stand up. And my dad said, "Hey, yeah, where'd you go there for an hour?" He's like, "I went." He was French Canadian. "I went to lunch." My dad was like, "Oh, what'd you have?" And I swear to you, this is about the amount of time it took him to answer. Hamburger. That's her Glock.
It's a Glock. It's a, oh shit, what's the number?
17,
I've had it
13?
for some time.
What's the caliber? Look, I'm not going to get into it because it's a lie.
It's a Gen 6.
Yeah, exactly.
You tell us looking at her eyes, just staring into it, like, oh, it's empty. She's making it up.
And all right, final question that was asked on this was on foreign policy, and it goes poorly as well.
Let's hit on some foreign policy. Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands. Okay?
What?
This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles.
He follows up
We need to do
on her own answer. Watch.
to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power. That is one of my highest priorities.
So if you
And
have
that must
proof
be.
that Iran is building a nuclear weapon, would you take military action?
I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals at this moment.
Watch this.
What about China?
China, first of all, we must win a competition for the 21st century with China. We must be able to compete and win. We should not seek conflict. But we have to understand that there are parameters in which we must operate that include ensuring, for example, that we protect American business interest.
So say if China attacks Taiwan, would we use military force to support Taiwan?
Bill, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals.
Hold on a second. You're running for president. Every question is a hypothetical.
Yeah, true. What would you do on this?
Well, if I was president, I would, okay, what about Iran? I'm not going to answer hypotheticals. You just did it like 19 times poorly, but you did it.
Ma'am, you're an idiot. You said Iran. Could you elaborate?
She has a lot of hypothetical ideas and thoughts about Donald Trump, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you say when you're like, I've talked myself into a bit of a hole here.
Yes.
And I don't want to dig any further.
Well, that's how they refer to him around the Kamala Harris campaign. Bill Whitaker is the black hole. Don't go on his show. You've been given the black dot. It is. It's so difficult to watch. It's nowhere near 60 minutes, so I don't understand. Tim Walz did it after, and it didn't go any better. And that's why, look, she's going on Howard Stern today. This will be as softball as you could possibly get. We've also heard that Howard Stern was very mad that Call Her Daddy got Kamala before him. I just don't think there's any way for her. She's just going to dig herself a deeper hole. You can comment below. And here's the thing, though. That means the media is going to be doing her work with more aggression.
Overdrive, yeah.
So be aware of it. It's lie, cheat. The lying isn't working, so expect some cheating. And that's why we are preparing. And we've been doing this for a long time. The election live stream of the century. Look, we're taking a flyer here to watch along with you, Howard Stern, because we think it's important. Nothing should happen in darkness. But election night, nothing happens in darkness. We only have 4 weeks to go. We will have the live electoral map. We will have data that no one else on earth has the ability to parse, to decipher. We can not only call states, we can actually dispute states. We have more than legacy media and certainly more than anyone online. We will have this map available to you so you can actually go and see the states that are called, as well as any shenanigans taking place, because every large city of every major swing state will have on-the-ground investigative journalists. And, of course, you, the Mug Club Army, can help us track down leads in real time. Remember the Bristol boards that went up the precinct in Michigan? Nope. We're going to have someone there. Remember the pipe that burst in Georgia? Nope. We're going to have someone there. They will not be able to memory hole what happens this election, because no one is as equipped as we will be on November 5th, 2024, and that is because of you. It's been a multi-million-dollar undertaking. Please, if you want to watch with us, we are funded. We are supported by viewers like you. You can join Mug Club. Click that button. $89 annually, or between now and election, go Mugless for $9 a month. That helps out too. We absolutely do need your support to make it something that is a tectonic shift in how media is presented online.
So, by the way, she's not just digging herself a hole, and that was one of the most well thought out, kind of soft but somewhat forceful fact checks that you saw. That was not adversarial. That was not somebody like a Kristen Welker or a Dana Bash when they interviewed Donald Trump or JD Vance, right? That wasn't at that level. And she still fumbled through it pretty badly.
He followed up on her own answers.
But he did it in a nice way, not even like a super pressing
that could be
way.
seen as offering a lifeline.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you said Iran. So what would you then launch an attack if they did something? In other words, like, oh, you said Iran, so clearly you want to be forceful with Iran.
Right.
So if they did something illegal, you'd be forceful, right? I'm not going to discuss hypotheticals. Shit!
I think Trump gained another black voter.
Yeah, basically.
Hey, if you're still watching, you can click my face or this box next to me, which may bring you to another video, or it's going to bring you to another video. It'll play another video. But if you like this, it'll be one that you like. And if you didn't like this, you know, everyone deserves a second chance.